Hey there guys, my name is Abe and welcome to my channel. I'll be performing a review on War Thunder, which is a realistic game featuring combat vehicles spanning from ground vehicles, aircrafts, and naval vessels. The game's vehicles are inspired by war machines built from the 1920s all the way to 2014. The game comprises of 9 playable nations, and these 9 playable nations are the United States of America, Germany, USSR, Great Britain, Japan, China, Italy, France, and finally Sweden. The game does offer 3 player game modes, or main game modes, these being arcade, realistic battles, and simulator battles. When it comes to arcade, it is a more relaxed game mode, but can be quite hectic at times when engagements get heated. But overall, this game mode is highly recommended for new players to help them get accustomed with some of the game's mechanics. Realistic Battles has more realistic physics and will require experience from the players so that they can compete with more experienced War Thunder players. Tank realistic battles and naval realistic battles do not have markers, therefore demanding greater situational awareness from the player. Simulator battles is quite self-explanatory by the name of the game mode itself. It is more recommended for the more hardcore players. Simulator mode is also only available for ground vehicles and aircrafts as of right now. If we move on to the United States of America, when it comes to the tanks, you start off with the light tanks, the Stuarts, and you work your way all the way to the Shermans, and from there on you pretty much, it's a ruffle stomp grind all the way to the Abrams, which is quite an iconic modern MPT. When it comes to the helicopter line, you start off with the Cobra helicopter, I believe it's called, the H-1G Cobras, which pretty much participated in Vietnam, and work all your way to the H-1Z Viper and the AH-64 Longbow. And when it comes to the aviation line, you start off with the P-Shooter reserve aircrafts, and you can work all the way to the P-40 Kitty Hawks, which are quite enjoyable aircrafts, and work your way through the Corsairs and to the Sabres, to all the way to the iconic F-4 Phantom that again served in the Vietnam War. When it comes to the naval fleet, when it comes to naval warfare and War Thunder, it is one of the more least played game modes in War Thunder, pretty much the black sheep of War Thunder, but still, some players do like this game mode, including myself, so feel free to try it out. You might like it, and if you don't like it initially, give it some time, try and get to more larger vessels, and maybe you might enjoy yourself then. But of course, I leave these options to you. Alright, so onwards to Germany. Germany, if you start again with the army, you start off with the early Panzers and work your way all the way to the infamous Tiger 1s, to the Panthers, and then to the King Tigers, and then to the more post-war tanks such as the Leopard 1s, and work your way to the cream of the crop, the Leopard 2A5, which is again a very nice competitive top-tier tank. Some people might call it overpowered, but again, it depends on one's opinion. And onwards to the helicopters. You start off with some Alouettes, which I believe are French helicopters, and you work your way through some Hueys, and all the way to the Eurocopter, or a German variant of it. And when it comes to the aviation, you start off with the Heinkel 51s, the biplanes, and work your way all the way to the iconic 109s, and there are multiple variants of them. You do have Fokker fighter aircrafts, which are also really enjoyable to play, and you can work all your way to the notorious 262s of World War II, and work your way all the way to the CL-13s and to the MiG-21, which again is a very nice top tier jet. When it comes to the naval, you have some Schnellboats, or fast boats so to speak, and you work your way all the way to the Admiral Graf Spee, which is again has the largest caliber guns in War Thunder. Alright, and onwards to the USSR. When it comes to the army, you start off with the light tanks, the BT-7s, the BT-5s, etc. And work your way to the iconic T-34s, and then to the T-34-85s, which have the more powerful long 85mm gun. And also you can work your way to the Joseph Stalin heavy tanks, the IS-2s, etc. And this will all lead you to the cream of the crop of the Soviet Union as of right now, which is the T-80U MBT, which again is a very nice tank. So when it comes to the helicopters, you start off with the Mi-4V, which is nicknamed the Russian school bus in War Thunder by its player base to some extent, and you work your way all the way to the Mi-28N Havoc and to the Ka-52, which is pretty much the best helicopter offered in War Thunder right now. When it comes to the aviation tech tree, you start off with the Yaks, and you can work your way to the more advanced Yaks, and this Yak lineup pretty much continues all the way to the Yak-30 jetline. And when you start off with the I-16, you can work your way to the I-185s, all the way to the MiG line, which starts off mid-tier, well, more to the tier 5 and above. And these MiGs are quite enjoyable aircrafts, the jet aircrafts, and you work your way all the way to the Soviet MiG-21. The Russians do also offer some very, very enjoyable bombers with some great payload options. Onto the fleet. I guess the Soviet Union is not known much for their fleet, but still, there is a very decent to somewhat a nice selection of naval vessels available from the Soviet Union, all the way going through the Chapayev, and I am not going to pronounce that word because I will butcher it. Onwards to Great Britain. Starting off with the tanks again, you start off with the A-13s. You work your way all the way to the Cromwells, the Matildas, the Valentines, and then all the way to the notorious British Sherman Firefly that the German Tigers feared so much. The notorious 17-pounders in this tank, and it is a lovely tank to play. And then again, you can work your way to the first MBTs, the Centurions, and then work your way all the way to the Chieftains, and finally the cream of the crop, the Challenger 2, which currently serves today in the British Army, but of course a more modern variant. When it comes to helicopters, you start off with a Scout helicopter, and again you work your way all the way to a license-built copy to or variant of the Longbow helicopter, the AH Mark 1 Apache. And when it comes to the aviation lineup, you start off with the Fury, you work your way to the Hurricanes, and all the way to the notorious Spitfires of the Royal British Air Force. And then onwards you work your way to the Tempest, and then to the Hunters, which finally lead you to a British Phantom, and also to one of the more infamous 1950 fighter aircrafts, the Lightning F6. Again, relatively nice, enjoyable aircraft. And onwards to... Actually, before I continue on to the fleet, the British do offer some nice bombers, but they're quite challenging to play, so I leave this to you as to whether you would like to play them. They're more challenging because they lack the defensive armament, since most of them IRL served, give or take, during night operations, and therefore they are more vulnerable in War Thunder. When it comes to naval fleets, you start off again with patrol boats, so to speak, and work your way all the way to the HMS Belfast, which is unfortunately not a normal tech tree ship, but you can buy it off as a premium if you wish, or you can work your way to the Southampton, which is pretty much a Belfast with less anti-aircraft support or protection, give or take, and I believe it'll yeah, that's about it. Yeah, that sums it up there. Onwards to Japan. Again, when it comes to the army, Japan is not known much for their army when it comes to World War II, but still you do have a very nice selection of unique tanks with a unique flavor to them. give or take, and a unique playstyle, of course. And again, you can work your way all the way to the tier 2, to the Chinus, etc., and all the way to their top tier tanks, being the Type 74s and the Type 90s. And when it comes to the Type 90, it still serves today with different modifications, of course. When it comes to helicopters, Japan has one helicopter right now, which is an AH-1 Cobra, but we are hopefully looking forward to an expansion of this factory in the future, given time. When it comes to the aircrafts, you start off with the A5M4s, the Key 10s, etc., and work your way to the infamous Zeros of World War II, and you work your way to the Japanese Phantoms and the T2. When it comes to the fleet, of course, the Japanese were known for their fleet, and Warfan does represent quite a few of them. So you start off with your patrol boats again, and you work your way all the way to ships such as the Imperial Japanese Navy Mogami, which is a ship that served in World War II with Japan, and people who are into naval would know the ship. It's quite popular. Anyway, onwards. So when it comes to China, China is a mixed mash. When it comes to their tanks, they have American vehicles and also Soviet vehicles comprised. Of course, towards the later tiers, you do have locally designed tanks or indigenous tanks, such as the Type 62, the Type 59, all the way to the cream of the crop, which would be the ZTC 96A. When it comes to aviation, the same thing applies to the aviation tech tree. You start off with the British aircraft, the Gladiator, but again, you do have a mix mash of Soviet aircrafts, etc., and even Japanese aircrafts in the mix, which makes it quite interesting. You do have American aircrafts, of course, but then again, you still have indigenous aircrafts designed by the Chinese themselves. You work your way all the way to a Chinese license-built version of the MiG-21, the J-72. Onwards to Italy, you have the CR-32s and the Reggiana Line aircrafts, and you work your way pretty much all the way to the G91YS, which is again another nice, very enjoyable jet to play. And when it comes to their army, it's more again of a mixed match. They are not so, let's say, they're very different. They're more like they offer some very mobile vehicles when it comes to the high tiers, and they offer speed when it comes to the Italians, and also very good guns. That must not be taken away. They offer some really good guns at higher tiers. But anyway, you work your way all the way to the Ariete MBT, which currently serves in the Italian army. When it comes to the helicopters, the Italians sit at a kind of a limbo, just like the Japanese helicopters, but hopefully in the future it will be expanded with more variants. And onwards to the French. With France, if you start off with the army, you start off with some pretty interesting, unique low-tier vehicles, and work your way to the Chabis heavy tanks, which would be this one over here and the B1 base over here. And you can make your way through the AMX-13s to the more prototype tanks such as the AMX-50 Sebaste, and make your way to the cream of the crop, the Leclerc MBT, or the Charles Leclerc, which is again one of the top tier tanks, very competitive tank, very enjoyable tank to play too. Alright, onwards to the French aircraft. You start off with the D371, so to speak, a biplane, and you work your way all the way to the top tier jet, which will be currently the Super Mystère, a F100, and an Ethendard, which is also a very nice aircraft. Pretty much the Super Mystère and the Ethendard, two indigenous aircrafts designed by the French themselves. in the future, we do look forward to the Mirage in War Thunder, and hopefully when that comes, brands will be more complete when it comes to the aviation tech tree. Alright, onwards, when it comes finally, Sweden. Sweden pretty much represents the whole of Scandinavia in War Thunder as it is right now. And as of this recording and making of this video, Sweden is pretty much the newest toy, the newest nation in War Thunder, and therefore does not have a helicopter tech tree as of yet. But they do offer a very, very delicious aircraft and aviation tech tree. When it comes to the army, you start off with the STRVs and work your way all the way to a few more unique fast mobile tanks at the more mid-tier to starting to enter the high tiers, more mobile tanks with some rocket propelled rockets, give or take, and then you make your way to the pretty much the license build copy, so to speak, give or take, of the Leopard 2A5, the STRV 122, which is pretty much a upgraded Leopard 2A5, which you saw over here, right there, that bad mama. Alright, onwards to the Swedish aviation. You start off with the J8, which in its own right is quite an enjoyable aircraft to play, and then onwards you make your way all the way through their push props, the J21s, which would be right here, and then work your way all the way to the cream of the crop, the J35 Draken, which is a rather beautiful aircraft in my opinion. Alright guys, since we're done an overview of all the vehicles available in the game, this game, one must remember, is a free-to-play game, therefore you are in for a very big grind, and that can be tedious at times. But again, I would highly recommend savoring whatever tier or vehicle you are playing. Don't try to rush all the way to the top tier toy, which would be the F4 Phantoms or the Leopard 2A5s, etc, etc, whatever tech tree you are grinding. Just don't try to rush through it, because then it will not be an enjoyable experience. But then again, some people do enjoy the grind, and if that's you, I care, do whatever you like, go nuts. But yeah, when it comes to the game, I would highly recommend getting some premium time to help ease your grind, which is this one over here. It does give you more rewards or bonuses. When it comes to the premium, I highly suggest buying large chunks of it, like a quarter of a year to half a year or a year of premium during the period of May, which it will go on discount. Keep an eye on the War Thunder news. And over in November, which is Gaijin's birthday, or sorry, War Thunder's birthday, and again they offer 50% discount on the vehicles. But hey guys, pretty much that wraps up the review on War Thunder. It's a really enjoyable game. Just try and savor whatever you're playing. That's pretty much it. And also, before I wrap up this video, I do stream on Twitch. My Twitch channel link is below in the description. Check it out. Feel free to pop on when I stream. My schedule is below my Twitch stream, so feel free to check it out. So guys, thank you very much for watching this video. If you stuck around this far, thank you. I appreciate it. I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out and take care. Bye bye for now.